Hydro Zero. The Jimmy Kimmel live studio lights blaze to life, the audience erupting in a tidal wave of applause as Jimmy Kimmel strides out, his familiar smirk firmly in place. "Welcome to tonight," he booms, his voice echoing with the promise of unfiltered takes and biting humor. "We've got a special guest, Karoline Leavitt, White House press secretary." Clapping fills the air, mixed with a few curious whistles, the sound of an audience bracing for impact. Levitt steps out, dressed in a fitted navy dress, her gaze sharp, but her smile polite, almost too polite. She takes her seat, clearly braced for a tense interview, a warrior stepping onto the battlefield. Jimmy, never one to beat around the bush, dives right in. "I was just on Truth Social and Trump's busy tweeting about me at 3 a.m., so I guess tonight's going to be fun." The audience roars with laughter, a few shouting in delight. This wasn't just late-night comedy. This was the live, unfiltered aftermath of a digital skirmish, played out for millions. Before diving into the story, let me ask you, where are you watching from tonight? Drop a comment below and let us know. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the latest stories, the hottest takes, and the wildest political showdowns. Because trust me, folks, tonight is just getting started. Jimmy continues, his voice dripping with mock seriousness. "Karoline, Trump calls his new tariffs Liberation Day." He pauses, letting the words hang in the air, a mischievous twinkle in his eyes. "Liberating what exactly? I heard Melania liberated herself from him last week." Laughter explodes again, echoing through the studio, a wave of comedic relief that threatened to drown out any serious discourse. It was the kind of joke that pierced through the political bluster, aiming straight for the personal. Levitt's composure, however, remained remarkably intact. A frown deepened on her face, but she stayed composed, her eyes narrowing as she fired back quickly. "Jimmy, you should stick to comedy instead of making up stories. That's fake news, and you know it." Her tone was firm, carrying a hint of defiance, a clear warning that she wouldn't be an easy target. This wasn't just a press secretary, this was a loyalist, ready to defend her president with every fiber of her being. Jimmy tilted his head, feigning surprise, an innocent expression plastered on his face. "Fake news. So who sent the burger instead of roses to Melania, you or Trump?" Laughter mixed with applause, the studio buzzing from the get-go. From the moment she stepped onto that stage, the audience was still buzzing from Jimmy Kimmel's opening jab, the laughter barely fading as he leaned toward Karoline Leavitt, eyes twinkling with mischief. This wasn't just an interview, it was a battle for the narrative, with burgers, tweets, and personal jabs as the weapons of choice. 1:31. The studio was still buzzing from Jimmy Kimmel's opening jab, the laughter barely fading as he leaned toward Karoline Leavitt, eyes twinkling with mischief. This wasn't just a host asking questions, it was a provocateur relishing his role, and Karoline knew it. "Karoline, I know you say it's fake news, but I just got a hot tip from the White House," he began, his voice dropping conspiratorially, as if sharing a whispered secret with the entire audience. "Hotter than the burger Trump sent Melania." Leavitt sat up straighter, her gaze sharpening, the politeness from moments ago beginning to crack. She was clearly preparing a retort, but before she could speak, Jimmy pressed on, relentless in his comedic assault. "Listen, my source says Melania quietly left the White House right after the inauguration. The reason? Trump was too busy planning tariffs to remember their anniversary." The studio erupted. Laughter crashed like waves, washing over Leavitt, who could only watch, her frown deepening. The sheer absurdity, mixed with the plausible kernel of celebrity gossip, was potent. Jimmy, seizing the moment, raised his hand, mimicking Trump with an imaginary mic, a caricature of the former president's mannerisms. "Melania, honey, I'm busy liberating America here. Take a Big Mac." Levitt's frown deepened, her lips tightening. The barrage of mockery was clearly testing her composure, the polite veneer she'd arrived with now threatening to shatter. She was struggling to stay calm, her professional demeanor under siege. But Jimmy didn't let up. He turned to her with a sly grin, his eyes challenging her to deny what he was about to say. "Karoline, I'm not making this up. Someone even said Trump called Melania the CEO of leaving me in a closed-door meeting with advisors." He paused for effect, letting the absurdity sink in. "I mean, that's Trump-style romance, right? Who needs roses when you can give a burger?" He pretended to rummage in his pocket, building the comedic tension, before pulling out a folded paper as proof. "I've got the memo right here. Oh, sorry, that's a McDonald's receipt." The audience roared, swept up in the theatricality. Finally, Levitt found her voice cold but defiant, cutting through the laughter. "Jimmy, do you think your audience is dumb enough to believe that nonsense? That's cheap clowning, not the truth." She crossed her arms, staring him down as if trying to pierce through him, to expose the insincerity behind his jokes. But Jimmy didn't flinch. He just shrugged, an air of mock innocence about him. "Oh, I don't know if they're dumb, but I bet Trump thinks Melania was dumb for sticking with him so long." Thunderous applause broke out, punctuated by approving whistles. The energy in the studio was electric, a live wire of political satire and personal jabs. He kept the momentum. "Seriously, Karoline, are you the burger delivery girl, or is that J.D. Vance's job? I hear he's great at running errands for Trump." Levitt gripped the chair tightly, her eyes flashing with anger, but she maintained a professional demeanor. The fight was far from over. Levitt gripped the chair tightly, her eyes flashing with anger, but she maintained a professional demeanor. The laughter still echoed, a constant reminder of the comedic assault she was enduring. "Jimmy, you can laugh all you want, but the president is working for America, not sitting here making up stories like you," she said, her voice slightly higher than usual, betraying the strain beneath her composure. It was a familiar political talking point, but in this arena, it felt more like a desperate plea for seriousness. Jimmy nodded mockingly, agreeing with a theatrical flourish. "Yeah, working for America, like when he accidentally sent war plans to a reporter instead of Melania, right?" He paused, letting the bombshell land. The audience, a finely tuned instrument, gasped, then erupted into a fresh wave of laughter. This wasn't just a rumor. It was a specific, embarrassing gaffe that had made headlines, and Kimmel was wielding it like a precision weapon. "Here's the deal. Karoline, you say it's fake news. So how do you explain Melania not appearing publicly with Trump all week? Is she busy eating burgers somewhere?" Jimmy stepped closer to the host desk, picking up a water glass as if to cool things down, but then set it aside, his mischievous grin firmly in place. "I don't want to put you on the spot, Karoline, but I hear Trump posted on Truth Social at 3 a.m. not to defend you, but to yell at Melania for not taking pictures with him." He mimicked Trump again, a scowl on his face, the bluster in his voice, pitch perfect. "Melania, you're terrible, but Karoline's great." The crowd laughed so hard the seats shook, the band playing a short riff to punctuate the comedic crescendo. Levitt exhaled sharply, visibly holding back. Her eyes, which had been defiant, now shifted to fury. The personal attacks, the constant chipping away at the president's image, the casual dismissal of her arguments. It was all, clearly, getting to her. Jimmy, sensing the rising tension, turned to the audience, raising a hand. "Folks, I think we need to hear Karoline explain, but first, give me another round of applause." The clapping boomed, a thunderous endorsement of Kimmel's performance, and the stage was set for Levitt's response as the tension hit its peak. Karoline Leavitt took a deep breath, a sudden, almost involuntary move, before springing up from her chair. A collective gasp of surprise rippled through the audience, her fists clenched, her fiery gaze locked on Jimmy Kimmel. "Jimmy, you think you're clever making up that garbage?" Her voice cut through the air, resounding across the studio, drowning out the crowd's murmurs. You make a living sitting here laughing at people, but President Trump, he's working day and night to save America from people like you." Jimmy raised an eyebrow, his smirk unshaken, but before he could reply, Levitt barreled on, her passion overriding any semblance of polite debate. The gloves were off. Karoline Leavitt took a deep breath, a sudden move that drew a collective gasp of surprise, springing up from her chair, her fists clenched, her fiery gaze locked on Jimmy Kimmel. "Jimmy, you think you're clever making up that garbage?" Her voice cut through, resounding across the studio, drowning out the crowd's murmurs. "You make a living sitting here laughing at people, but President Trump, he's working day and night to save America from people like you." The room fell silent for a moment, as if waiting to see how Jimmy would respond, before scattered applause rose from her supporters. Jimmy raised an eyebrow, his half-smile intact, but Levitt didn't give him a chance to cut in. "You want to talk about marriage? Look at yourself, Jimmy." She pointed straight at him, her voice brimming with defiance. "You make money tearing people apart, mocking them on TV. What gives you the right to judge President Trump or anyone while you sit here throwing cheap burger jokes? He's uniting the country, giving hope to millions." A group clapped loudly, clearly swayed by her passion, while others shook their heads, waiting for Jimmy's response. She took another step, her gaze locked on Jimmy like she was trying to burn through him. "I've seen the president work day and night, non-stop. Do you know what that means? That's dedication. Something you'll never understand because all you're good at is sitting behind that desk and laughing." Her voice trembled with emotion, but not weakness. It was anger mixed with fierce conviction. "The tariffs you mock, they're bringing jobs back to American workers, protecting them from those who stole our livelihoods. What have you ever done? Like that? Or do you just dig into personal lives for ratings?" The audience split sharply, one side clapping thunderously, yelling, "Well said, Caroline." The other whistled in dissent, creating a chaotic atmosphere. Jimmy raised a hand, pretending to wipe sweat. "Wow, Caroline, I'm touched. But if Trump's uniting the country, why isn't Melania here clapping for him?" The crowd cheered excitedly, the band chiming in with a playful riff, cutting the weight of Levitt's comeback. He continued, "I mean, you're loyal, but loyal enough to defend even that chat group sending war plans by mistake." Levitt didn't waver, her voice slowing but heavy. "You want to talk about the chat group? That's a media hoax like you, twisting the truth to take down the president. But Americans aren't stupid. They see what he's done. A stronger economy, more jobs, and a country that doesn't bow to anyone." A wave of applause rose, stronger than before, as if she was pulling part of the crowd back to her side. "You mock the Kennedy Center honors? Trump wants to honor American culture, real honoring, not the fake kind Hollywood like you loves." Jimmy smirked, stepping closer to her. "Honor culture? Then why did Hamilton ditch it because of Trump? I bet he hates that play because it doesn't. Have a burger scene." "You're pathetic, Jimmy," Levitt yelled, her voice piercing, overpowering the laughter. "You don't get the White House pressure, what the president faces, because you've never done anything but sit here and mock. Trump's the strongest man I've ever met. He stands tall against everything from media like you to foreign enemies. Ask them, the workers, the parents, they know who's fighting for them." A bigger wave of applause erupted, clearly striking a chord with some. Jimmy nodded, feigning agreement. "Yeah, I don't get pressure, but I see Trump melting every time. He posts on Truth Social at 3 a.m. He turned to Levitt. "Caroline, you say he's strong, so why are you here defending him from a funny guy like me? Can't he do it himself?" Laughter exploded again, but Levitt stood there, eyes ablaze, ready for the next round. Jimmy Kimmel raised a hand to quiet the crowd, his mischievous grin still in place. All right, folks, I think we need a quick break to see what the outside world thinks of this showdown." He stepped to the host desk, picking up a prepped iPad. "Let's check real-time reactions on X, because if anyone can turn drama into memes faster than light, it's X." A few approving claps rang out. Jimmy swiped the screen, feigning surprise. Oh, this is good. One user writes, Karoline just torched Kimmel. She's the queen of defending Trump. He paused, smirking. Yeah, but right below someone replies, nah, she's just embarrassing Trump. Burgers don't save America. The crowd clapped loudly, a few shouting, That's right, Jimmy! Levitt stood there, eyes still fiery, lips pursed as she heard the social media jabs. Jimmy continued, Wait, here's another. Karoline versus Kimmel. Who needs Netflix when this drama is better than any show? I agree, do you? The audience laughed hysterically, applause mixing with whistles. Levitt wouldn't stay quiet, stepping closer to Jimmy, voice firm. Jimmy, you can read those silly tweets, but my generation, Gen Z, knows the truth. We're not fooled by outdated media like you. Scattered claps rose from the crowd, but Jimmy fired back fast. Yeah, your generation knows the truth, and they know how to meme Trump faster than you can blink. He turned to the audience. I bet someone's photoshopping Trump with a burger right now. Jimmy swiped again, eyes lighting up. Oh, this is gold. Someone writes, Karoline says Trump's strong, but why is he melting when Putin compliments him? Where's the meme? He pretended to hold a phone, searching. Hold on, I see it. He held up the imaginary phone. Trump hugging Putin with the caption, Thanks, man, now I'm melting. The crowd laughed so hard the seats shook, some standing. To clap, swept up in Jimmy's humor. Levitt clenched her fists, voice rising. You think those memes are real, Jimmy? Real Americans, the workers, know who's fighting for them, and it's President Trump. Jimmy nodded, mock agreeing. Yeah, I bet they know, but they also know to laugh at that chat group sending war plans. He turned to the crowd. Hey, seen any tweets about that yet? He swiped, reading aloud. Trump team sent war plans by mistake. I guess burgers are part of the strategy. And this, Karoline defends Trump like a mom, but her kid just spilled. National secrets. The studio shook with laughter, some yelling, Brilliant, Jimmy. Levitt took a deep breath, her eyes flashing with fury. Jimmy, you can quote as many tweets as you want, but the truth doesn't change. The president's working for the people, not sitting here clowning like you. She pointed to the audience. They know it, and my generation won't let media like. You twist it. A group clapped in support, clearly moved by her resolve, but Jimmy didn't flinch, turning to her. Karoline, your generation's great, but if they're so smart, why not teach Trump how to use a chat group, right? Jimmy held up the iPad, reading another post. Karoline says Trump unites the country, so why isn't Melania here uniting too? He smirked. I bet Melania is tweeting solo with the caption, I chose burgers over Trump. Levitt crossed her arms, voice icy. You're pathetic for clinging to personal stuff, Jimmy. The president doesn't need to prove anything to you or those dumb tweets. Jimmy nodded. Yeah, he doesn't need to prove, but I bet he's tweeting right now to yell at me, and maybe you too. The studio buzzed after the social media reaction wave, applause and whistles, blending into a lively atmosphere. 2020. Jimmy Kimmel set the iPad on the host desk, grinning mischievously. Folks, I think we just witnessed a night to remember. X is exploding, and Karoline here gave it her all. He paused, looking at Karoline Leavitt, still standing, eyes ablaze but arms crossed tightly, like she was holding steady. But Karoline, Jimmy continued, voice light but sharp, I've got to be real. You're so loyal to Trump, I think he should hire you as a wife instead of press secretary. I mean, you're here defending him more than Melania ever did. The crowd laughed hard, applause erupting, some shouting, Great one, Jimmy! But Levitt didn't waver, stepping closer to him, eyes resolute. That's all you've got, Jimmy. Cheap humor and pointless insults. You think your audience is dumb enough to buy those made-up stories? She pointed to the crowd. They're smarter than you think, and I'm proud to stand here defending the president, a man who works for America, not clowning around like you. Applause exploded, stronger this time, spreading through the studio. Jimmy shrugged, feigning shock. Pathetic? Ouch, Karoline. I don't want to upset you, but if I'm pathetic, what's Trump when he leaves you out here facing me? He turned to the crowd. I mean, if Trump's as strong as you say, why isn't he on air defending himself? Or is he busy tweeting at 3 a.m. to scold Melania for not delivering burgers on time? Levitt cut in, voice cold but powerful. You're not worth the president's time, Jimmy. He's busy leading the country while you dig up trash for laughs. Her eyes blazed. Americans know the truth. They know who's fighting for them. Trump's tariffs bring jobs back, protect workers from those who stole our livelihoods. You laugh at the chat group. That's a media hoax, but people don't care. They care about results. Applause thundered, people standing to cheer, clearly swayed by her intensity. Jimmy raised a hand, trying to regain control. Yeah, Americans know, and they also know to laugh at Trump melting every time Putin tosses a compliment. Levitt smiled. The first time all night, her sharp gaze piercing Jimmy. You want to talk Putin? Trump's stronger than anyone you've ever met. He doesn't melt, he leads. And you, Jimmy, can you protect anyone besides that host chair? The crowd gasped, applause roaring, drowning out dissenting whistles. Jimmy smirked but didn't reply right away, clearly caught off guard by her counter. Levitt pressed on. Can you defend that Trump-hating portrait? Your question's ridiculous. The truth doesn't need Photoshop, and Americans know it. Jimmy tried a comeback. Karoline, you're good, but I bet you're tired of cleaning up those chat messes. But Levitt interrupted. I'm not tired, Jimmy. I'm proud, and I won't let you keep up this clown show. She turned to the crowd. President Trump will always win because he has us, people who truly believe in America. Applause boomed, the crowd standing to cheer, more unified than before. Levitt stood firm, eyes steady, holding her ground without. Leaving the stage, Jimmy raised a hand for silence, voice slightly strained. Folks, give Karoline a round of applause. She fought hard. The clapping rang out loud and prolonged. He turned to the audience. Thanks to her for coming. Next time, I hope Trump shows up himself, but I might not take her on again. Laughter rose, but weaker than before, as the band played the outro. Jimmy wrapped up, Thanks for watching. See you next time. As the studio lights dim, everyone leaves amid applause and buzzing chatter, Karoline Leavitt at the center of attention. Just minutes later, Donald Trump hits Truth Social, posting in all caps, Karoline is a star. She crushed Jimmy Kimmel, that pathetic loser. The post continues, She defended me in America. Kimmel makes up lies about me and Melania, but we are stronger than ever. I'm the greatest president and Karoline is a warrior. Big win. X spreads it fast with a tweet. Karoline took down Kimmel, Trump's proud. Alongside a pic of her pointing, Jimmy. Outside the studio, Levitt pauses for reporters, her navy dress still pristine, eyes gleaming with victory. I'm proud to defend the president against Kimmel, she says, voice steady. He fights for Americans, and I showed the audience the truth. No one can smear him while I'm here. She smiles, steps into her car, leaving an impression of an unyielding warrior. Passers-by clap in admiration, many shouting, Karoline's awesome! On X, reactions tilt toward Levitt. One writes, Karoline won big. She shut Kimmel up. Another posts, Trump doesn't need to show up. Karoline's strong enough. Memes spread, from Levitt captioned Queen of Trump Defense to Jimmy forcing. A smile with, when you lose but still have to close the show. Though some mock burgers still rule, most praise Levitt. She's a real warrior. Kimmel's outmatched. And there you have it, folks. The clash of titans, the battle of wits, and the undeniable force of conviction in a world where headlines are made faster than you can blink. This story isn't just about a late-night show. It's a snapshot of America, fiercely divided and yet undeniably passionate. If you were gripped by Karoline's fiery defense or couldn't get enough of Jimmy's cutting humor, then you're part of the conversation. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you enjoyed this detailed dive into the drama, share this story with your friends and family. Let them in on the buzz. And, as always, leave your comments below with your thoughts on who truly won this epic showdown. Most importantly, subscribe so you won't miss the next dramatic chapter in the ongoing saga of American politics and pop culture. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you for the next one.